Hey everybody, welcome back to Brainiac Baseball's 1982 National League West preview. Today we're going to take a look at the National League West. Yesterday we did the East, and last week we did the American League. So if you want to check those out, we do have a 1982 Detroit Tigers season replay playlist that you can find on the Brainiac Baseball Card Break main page. And you can take a look at any of the previews that we've done so far, as well as the 1980 and 81 Detroit Tigers season replay that we've already completed. If you want to take a look at those and catch up, as we're going to begin the 1982 Detroit Tiger season replay on Monday, which is in 2 days. So we're looking forward to getting started with the new season. But today we're going to talk about the National League West. As you can see here on this title card, the standings here where Houston, who won the World Series last year, went 66-44, finished with a 4-game lead over the Cincinnati Reds, followed by a tie with San Diego and San Francisco. The Dodgers finished 5th, and Atlanta finished dead last in the West. And so, as you can see here, we had, you may have seen this yesterday, we have Dave Winfield was the National League MVP, finishing with a .329 batting average, which was good for first in the National League. He had 15 home runs, which was third best, and 68 RBI, which was fourth best in the National League. So a solid season for Winfield, who was on the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cy Young Award winner was Cincinnati's Mario Soto, who went 13-4 with a 2.42 ERA, which was good for number 1 in the National League. And he had 136 strikeouts. And the Rookie of the Year was the San Diego Padres' Tony Gwynn, who finished with a .289 batting average, 10 home runs, and 47 RBI. Okay, so that's the recap. Let's go ahead and start looking first at the World Series champion, Houston Astros. Let's pull up their lineup here. We'll take a look at what they've done. This season, they made a trade to pick up Jerry Mumphrey. They got Mumphrey from Texas. Second time he was traded this year. He's going to take over the left field job for the Astros. They lost Otto Velez, who went to Atlanta. So Jerry Mumphrey will fill in left field for Otto Velez. And they also lost a shortstop, Craig Reynolds. So they have returning Mike Schmidt. They have Danny Goodwin. Goodwin was a all-star, as well as Otto Velez was, who's now, of course, on Atlanta. And Nolan Ryan and J.R. Richard were all-star representatives as well. Taking a look here on the bench, Scott Lukes was their center fielder last year. He led the National League in stolen bases, and now he's been relegated to a bench role. I'm sure he'll get a few starts as every team in the National League needs some speed. Joe Pittman will lead off, and he's got 26 stolen bases. As I mentioned, Michael Jack Schmidt, their cleanup hitter, he even batted leadoff a few times last year. As we did some of the National League review during the season, we saw that Mike Schmidt was batting leadoff, which is kind of crazy. Their catchers are Rick Sweet, who looks like he's their everyday starter, and Keith Moreland, who really was an outfielder, but he did begin his career as a catcher, as you can see designated here. So still a really solid lineup. Of course, their strength is their pitching staff. We're going to take a look at them momentarily. On their bench, they've got Ben Ogilvy in AAA. On the way up, they've got Gary Gaetti, the Rat, as a future third baseman for them. With Michael Schmidt in the way, I don't know. It might be better to trade him away. Enos Cabell, also in AA. Looking further down into single A here, they have the great Billy Beane, who, of course, is the general manager for the A's and the main focus of the Moneyball book and movie. Paul O'Neill, future left fielder for the Astros, and Damon Berryhill. So they have a pretty good minor league system too. Danny Walling was in the top 10 in RBI last year, and he's not even on in the lineup. So some pretty incredible depth there for the Astros. Let's take a look at their pitching staff. Of course, they have the great Nolan Ryan, who led the National League in strikeouts with 161. J.R. Richard, who just passed away earlier this year, finished third in ERA. Joaquin Andujar had a great season as well. The lineup will be filled with Joe Niekro, Billy Smith working his way in there until Rick Williams gets back. Rick Williams will be injured for the first 2 months of the season, so he'll be back in the beginning of June. Their bullpen, solid. Dave Smith, closer. Joe Sambito was a closer for the Astros in real life for a period of time. And they have Ken Forsch in AAA in case they need a backup starter. Not a lot of depth in the minor league system as far as pitchers go. Vincente Palacios, looks like he might be a good up-and-comer. Jeff Heathcock has a 93 rating. So there's a couple players that they could go to if they need. But really, I think they're going to be counting on Rick Williams to step in when he gets healthy and anchor that Astros starting rotation. They certainly have the inside track of winning this division again and maybe repeating in the National League. Let's take a look at Cincinnati. They're next on the list. They finished in second place at 62 and 48. Did they do enough to get over the hump and beat out the Astros? They actually added no one to their team in free agency. They lost Bill Bonham, who was the number 5 starter for them, and a pretty strong reliever. They lost Doug Bear as well. Looking at their lineup here, Ken Griffey, he finished in the top 10 in RBI. He finished second in home runs, top 10 in batting average as well. Kim Allen, most of those stolen bases were accomplished for the Mariners. He was traded mid-season, and I should say with Bud Bowling from Seattle too. Gary Redus, he finished second in stolen bases in the National League. So they have two of the best speedsters in the National League, as well as the Reds hitting the most home runs in the National League. So they got speed, they have power. We'll see if they're able to put it together to get it past the Astros. So Griffey and Redus, as well as Cy Young Award winner Mario Soto, were all All-Stars last year. Let's see who they have on their bench. Of course, they have Johnny Bench on the bench. Probably should be in the starting lineup above Bud Bowling. Bud's real name is Terry Bowling. And they have Dwayne Murphy, pretty solid fourth outfielder. George Foster once hit 50 home runs in the National League. We'll take a look here. There it is, 52. In 1977, an era when they weren't hitting a lot of home runs. You could see his home run total decreasing there over the next couple of years, and then losing his playing time. And now on the bench. In AAA, they got Ray Knight, part of the World Series team of the New York Mets in '86. Going down the roster here, Steve Christmas, bringing some holiday cheer in AA. And coming soon will be Wally Joyner. They have him in single-A ball. That's about it, really. Dan Billadello was the first person I ever saw hit a home run in real life in a game in Cincinnati, my very first game I ever went to. Let's take a look at the pitching staff of the Reds. Bruce Berenier, pretty solid pitcher. Him and Mario Soto in the top 10 in strikeouts. It's a pretty good 1-2 punch when you have your Cy Young Award winner as your second best pitcher. Tom Terrific, number 4 starter, missed most of the season due to injury last year. Tom Browning, of course, a pretty young pitcher in this period, threw a perfect game in real life. And Charlie Leibrandt, so that's a really great rotation. If everyone stays healthy, they could very well make a run. Bullpen, solid. They have Jay Howell as their closer, real-life closer. Look at that. Bill Shearer, part of the Tigers' 1984 World Series team. They have Brad Leslie, the Animal. That was his nickname. Looks like he's going to come out of spring training in the bullpen. They got a couple lefties in the bullpen as well. Looking at the AAA team, they have Mike Lacoste, who could fill in if they need a 5th starter at some point. Frank Pastore. Going down the line here, John Franco pitched over 20 years in the major leagues, most of those with the Reds and the Mets. Rob Murphy. Randy Johnson, there we go. So they drafted Randy Johnson last year. As you can see, only 18 years old, in single A ball. So Hall of Famer, probably going to help this team. Look at that. They have his fastball at just below 100 miles an hour. So that is a good get for the Reds. And they have Kip Young injured, going to be coming back in the middle of April, and he might fit right back into that rotation. Did a pretty good job for them, actually, in 1981, making 15 starts. So, yeah, this is a really solid team. I like the way they look, and at least on paper, you would expect them to contend if they can keep their starters healthy and match their speed with their home runs that they hit last season, and they're going to be pretty strong. Let's move on to San Diego. Next on the list, finished tied for 3rd in the National League West. This team also added nothing to their roster. They lost Dennis Rasmussen, who was a reliever, so no major losses for this team. So I guess we're expecting maybe some other young players to improve. Of course, Tony Gwynn won the Rookie of the Year. Looks like he led the team in home runs. This was not a home run hitting team. If Tony Gwynn is your biggest slugger, Ozzie Smith at short, the Wizard of Oz. They got Broderick Perkins, who was in the top 10 in batting average, batting .312. They did have 3 All-Stars last year. Bill Fahey was an All-Star representative with 173 at-bats. Wow. No home runs. So he must have lost his job halfway through the season, maybe after the All-Star break. They also had 2 starting pitchers make the All-Star team. We're going to take a look at them momentarily. So they have a very young Andy Van Slyke, only 21 years old. Great defender. Of course, he has some power. Curious to see what he does next season. They got Marv Foley mid-season from, that makes sense. They got him from the White Sox. So that's why Bill Fahey didn't finish out the season at catcher. So he's taking over the catching role. They got Tim Flannery, longtime San Diego Padre. On the bench, they got Gene Tennis, also can catch. Nobody else of note. AAA, they got Alan Wiggins. AA, they got John Kruk to play first base. Got Kevin McReynolds, 2 great hitters. Rex Hudler, annoying announcer. Hey, Terry Pendleton in Single A won the MVP for the Cardinals one season. Going down the list, they got Doug Guotz, nicknamed iChart because of his last name. Bo Jackson, Bo knows the Padres. He's a future outfielder for them. Sean Dunston, number 1 overall pick for the Cubs one year. And they have Gene Richards, who's injured. He'll be back in time to start the season. So he's out for 30 more days, and he'll fit right back into the outfield. Maybe he'll take that center field spot. No, hopefully he'll go to left field and take away the spot from Tom Grant, who I don't even know. All right, let's move on. Take a look at the Padres pitching. Definitely one of their strengths. Wise led the National League in wins with 14 last season, and now he's in AAA. They can't even use this guy. He was an all-star, as well as John D'Acquisto, who went 11-4. Juan Eichelberger is their staff ace, followed with Dennis Blair, Steve Mura, and Eric Shao. Eric Shao beating out Rick Wise. Shao in his this will be his rookie season. Bullpen solid. They got two closers. They got Gary Lucas in that role, with Raleigh Fingers in short relief. Not a great season for Fingers last year, but you can expect him to do really well. Dave Dravecki in long relief. Of course, he had his pitching arm he was had it amputized so that he could survive cancer. He had cancer in that arm. So, yeah, a very sad story there, but heartwarming, as he did actually throw out a first pitch for the Padres the next year. Then in AAA, they have not a lot of exciting players there. Bob Shirley, don't call me Shirley. They have going into AA, Andy Hawkins and Mark Thurman, who were staples of the 84 World Series team that lost to the Tigers. Single A ball, nothing exciting there. Maybe Bruce Ruffin. He had a pretty good career pitching for the USA Olympic team in 84. Okay, so that's going to do it for the Padres. They did not improve at all. If you take your best starting pitcher and you put him in AAA, I don't know that that's a wise move. But based on the ratings alone, Eric Shao probably deserves that opportunity. So we'll see what happens with the Padres later in the season. Let's go ahead and take a look at the San Francisco Giants. Giants finished 57-53, so they were above 500 last year. They added one player, Eddie Solomon, to the bullpen. They lost their fourth outfielder, Larry Herndon, and backup shortstop, Johnny LeMaster. They did have a Gold Glove. Chris Bourgeois was a Gold Glove winner in the outfield for them. Eric the Red in center field. Jack Clark. They have some serious power in a full season that should net them 20 to 30 home runs for each of those two players. I had no idea that Chris Bourgeois could hit home runs like that, but he led the team with 14. Nothing else too exciting with that rotation, with the starting lineup. Dan Gladden, he had some speed in real life, but only had 2 stolen bases in the 81 short season. On the bench, they got Milt May, they got Bob Brenly, Billy North in the top 10 in stolen bases. Last season, looking at AAA, they got Darrell Evans on the bench with a really low rating. He hit 40 home runs for the Tigers at age 40. I remember that was a big deal back in the day. Nothing else in AAA that I get excited about. They got Chili Davis on the way. They had Chili Davis listed as a catcher. I did remedy that by making him a center fielder, which was his primary position in the majors. So hopefully he'll make it to the majors as an outfielder. Rob Deere, 3 true outcome hitter. And in single A, nobody of note that I can see there. So double A looks like that's where it's at. I think I have Rennie Stennett, who passed away this year as well. Second baseman who had a very solid career for the Pirates. So let's take a look at the Giants pitching staff here. Vita Blue, staff ace, won 8 games, 8-7 last year. Ed Whitson, 12-4. Look at that. Everyone had a sub 3.5 ERA, with the exception of Mike Rowland, the number 5 starter. Bullpen looks tough. Their closer was Al Holland. Looks like they couldn't decide who the closer was. Closer by committee. Al Holland is their designated closer to start the season. They got Randy Moffett, had a solid year. Maybe he should close. Fellow left-hander Gary Lavelle, and as I mentioned, they added Eddie Solomon In the in AAA, they have Greg Minton, longtime reliever. Anybody else? I mean, nobody else that I would really want. Alan Ripley got a few starts last year. AA, not much to look at there. And single A, okay, here we go. They got Goobs. They got Mark Gubicza in single A ball. And yeah, that's about it. Scott Gereltz has really great ratings. I don't remember him having a fantastic career, but highly rated in this game. So within a couple of seasons, we'll probably see him on the Giants' starting rotation. So yeah, I mean, again, this was a team that finished just above 500, and that's about what I see here, unless their starting rotation can get them a few more wins. Otherwise, yeah, this is a 500 team. Moving on to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Dodgers finished under 500, 54 and 56. This is a strange team. They have a lot of all-stars, but basically no-namers. Gary Weiss, all-star. Jack Perconti was an all-star. Butch Weiniger was their catcher, a two-time all-star, and he was released and signed with the Mariners. So that's the only player that they lost. They also traded Steve Kemp to the Cardinals. So that was the other major contributor that they lost. So left field is going to be taken over by a player I've never heard of, Lemmy Miller. And Mike Scioscia takes over the catching duties. And that makes sense because 82 was his rookie year in real life. So they have Pedro Guerrero and Sixto Lezcano, two pretty solid hitters. Pedro Guerrero, top 10 in average home runs. And he actually led the National League in home runs and RBI. But Guerrero was not Guerrero was an all-star. I'm sorry. They also had 3 Gold Glove winners. Bob Welch, the pitcher, and Butch Weiniger, who they no longer have, as I mentioned, and Jack Perconti was a Gold Glove winner at second base. Rudy Law takes over in center field, and we know he's got a lot of speed to match the top of the lineup. So a lot of speed on this team, definitely some pop in the bats. Looking at the bench, no one of note. Wayne Coy, I have no idea who that is. Some of these guys, I mean, Mike Richard had an okay career briefly for the Rangers. Bobby Mitchell was a Los Angeles Dodger, fourth outfielder, but nothing spectacular. Now, they have a really deep bench here. Look at this. Looking at AAA, they got Steve Yeager. They got Mike Hargrove, the human rain delay. They got Kenny Landreau, got traded over there last year. Ron Renicky. I mean, Mark Bradley, solid shortstop. Steve Sachs, he won the Rookie of the Year in 1982 in real life. So he's a second baseman. I mean, I think I'd rather have him in there than Jack Perconti. But, I mean, you can't argue with the results. Gold Glove winner, all-star, and a higher rated player at that position. So the Penguin, Ron Say in AAA. They got Pete Rose, whose career is over. He's in AA. Bill Russell, longtime Los Angeles Dodger. And Mike Marshall, first baseman. They have a really, really big-named minor league system here. Single A ball. They got Vince Coleman, another speedster, coming up. Darryl Strawberry, Ken Caminiti, MVP. And Candy Maldonado. And Devon White, they got in the trade that sent Steve Kemp to the Cardinals. So they have a pretty bright future looking at the minor league system. Let's take a look at the pitchers. As I mentioned, Bob Welch, staff ace, all-star. I mean, not all-star. He was a Gold Glove winner. And they're going to bring back basically the same rotation. Gary Hannas, Rick Sutcliffe, Don Sutton, and Bert Hooton. Terry Forster led the National League in saves with 24 last year. They got Steve Young, Alejandro Pena, Dwayne Boyce, Don Stanhouse, and Ted Power. All really great bullpen Personnel, Dave Goltz started a couple of games last year. They got Luis Sanchez for the bullpen. They got Jerry Royce. They got Fernando Valenzuela, who was already 2 years into his career by 1982, and he hasn't even broke through in the starting rotation yet. So he's only 21 years old, so he's got a bright future ahead of him. Oral Hershiser, look at that, unbelievable. Tim Belcher, Ken Howell, Jamie Moyer in single A ball. Kelvin Schiraldi had a great career for the Red Sox and the Mets. That's going to do it for single A. So this is a team, like I said, looking at the batters, I mean, they have, how are they 500? This is a team that really should be much better, even though they didn't add anyone of note. They could work some of these young players into the lineup. They really should take off. So I expect better things from the Dodgers in 1982. Let's take a look at the last place team in the division, the Atlanta Braves in the West. Atlanta, not actually in the Western United States, but this is the way it was back then. The Braves. Now, the Braves did add a few players. They added Otto Valiz. He's going to take over the left field duties as they traded Greg Luzinski to the White Sox, I believe it was. So they replace a big bat with another big bat. And they added Barry Bonnell, who was a former Atlanta Brave, and now he's back on this team. Where is he at? There he is. He's in Double-A. In addition to that, they bolstered their bullpen by adding closer Tippy Martinez. In addition to losing Luzinski, they lost Eddie Solomon, who we just saw earlier, who signed with the Giants, and then they lost Biff Pocoroba, their starting catcher. So I would imagine this team is improved. They have good speed at the top with Brett Butler, Bob Baylor, former Detroit Tiger, in right field, Otto Valiz in left. All-Stars I mentioned last year and won the World Series with the Astros. Joe Nolan takes over the catcher's duty. Wow, Paul Runge batted 164 at short. They have Bob Watson on the bench. Milt Thompson made it to the bench from AAA. Solid outfielder. Taking a look at AAA for them, not a lot here. The other Randy Johnson, third baseman Randy Johnson, no relation. Mitchell Page batted 291, probably should be on the bench in the majors. There's Barry Bonnell. Double-A ball. They got Brick Jacoby, pretty solid third baseman in his time for the Indians anyway. They have another third baseman, Kelly Gruber, in Single-A. Bobby Bowe, another third baseman. They got third base covered in the minors. He has a really high rating. He'll be in the majors before too long. And wow, that looks like that's about it. I do think they improved with a couple of additions that they made. So they've given themselves some depth. And if they stay healthy, they could be a better team than 47 wins. Of course, this was the strike-shortened year. Looking at the National League Braves pitching staff, the starting rotation, Silvio Martinez, he was their lone all-star last year, going 11-6, finished in the top 10 in ERA and wins. The rest of the rotation is pretty suspect. Larry McWilliams, not great, 3-8 on the season. Tony Brizzolara, Joe Cowley, not good. Phil Niekro, 6-10, hanging on late in his career. Now their bullpen is sharp. As I mentioned, they added Tippy Martinez, who was the closer for the Orioles until they traded for Dan Quisenberry. That made Martinez expendable. Nonetheless, Steve Bedrosian is in the closer's role. He had 14 saves in 1981. They have Ed Olwine, Paul Assenmacher, Porfi Altamirano, and Preston Hanna. So not a horrible bullpen. They have Tommy Boggs in AAA. Not much else there. Double A, they got Gene Garber, a long-time bullpen piece. The Mad Hungarian, Al Herbowski. Nobody in Double A. And in Single A ball, Jose Guzman, I guess we could say him. Joe Johnson in Baseball Mogul, in every simulation I've ever had, he's been really good. You probably wouldn't know who he was unless you played a lot of these simulations or you're a Braves fan. But I always try to trade for Joe Johnson because he has a pretty good career in these sims. So I mean the Braves probably going to finish in last place in the West once again, mostly because of their starting rotation. I think their lineup is improved, but the rotation is still bad. Bullpen is solid. Probably still a last place team in the division where 4 of the teams finished above 500. So I guess that's going to do it for the National League. I'm ready to get started. I'm excited for this new season. We're going to start on Monday. We still have to play the spring training, so there will be some changes. There might be some trades. Surely there'll be some injuries. When we get the season started on Monday, we'll recap any of the major transactions that have taken place. And then we're going to get started as we're going to flip over to Detroit here and look at the calendar. We're going to start once we get through spring training at home versus the Yankees. So we're going to start in Tiger Stadium with New York, and I'm looking forward to that. We got Jack Morris versus Stephon Weaver in the season opener. So until Monday, everyone have a great day.